Hey guys, we're back with Messy on Purpose.
Messy on purpose. You try to take the way I say it all the time.
I didn't even know I did. I just said it.
I'm always like messy on
She didn't even finish it, so you were supposed to like play off of it, I thought.
messy
But
on purpose.
no.
Listen,
Are you about to start your period?
no, I'm not. I'm in a good mood. Even as crazy as today has been, which has just been one obstacle after another.
For both of us.
Yeah, it's been like the Twilight Zone today. It's got to be that freaking eclipse that we just had. I don't
We
know.
almost didn't even get to record because my headphones weren't working.
And we thought it wasn't recording anything. It's been a day, but we are thriving and surviving. And what we're going to talk about today is there being beauty in the breaking. So I know that we have discussed things before about, hardships in life, relationships, stuff like that. I have personally been doing a lot of work lately, as I always try to continue to do, but um, just in embracing whatever life has going on for me at the moment instead of focusing on the bad, just trying to see the lesson in the things that happen and finding the beauty even in the hard situations. Um, so I think that there are times in our life where things come to an end, relationships, certain chapters of your life, and it's really easy to kind of get caught up in your head and think about the negative part of that. And I'm trying actively to focus on the lessons that are learned through the experiences that I have.
I mean, it makes sense to me,
Mhm.
but I think a lot of that is people get so caught up in all the stress and the things that, I mean, 90% of our stress is self-inflicted.
Mhm.
I would know. I put so much stress on myself for no reason sometimes.
Yeah, I think I saw something that said psychologists say 95% of the things that we worry about and stress about are never even going to happen. We just create it in our minds.
I went crazy, not this week, but last week,
Mhm.
because so there's a task at work that I was working on, and I made myself an unrealistic goal.
Mhm.
Completely unrealistic. Because I literally killed myself to try to meet this goal
Mhm.
and still didn't meet it.
Yeah.
And then I meet with a girl that had the same goal,
Mhm.
but she, for some reason, thought it was like only 10,
Mhm.
and I had 48 in mind.
Mhm.
So it's a big difference.
Mhm.
And she was just like, oh, I thought it was 10. And like, she was so calm about it. And I'm just like over here, like, I've been in a panic for a week.
Mhm.
And that was all self-inflicted.
Mhm.
I mean, just because I was freaking out didn't mean she had to freak out.
Yeah.
Like, it just means that, like, I took it and,
Mhm.
stressed myself out for no reason. I could have just been like, this just isn't doable,
Mhm.
But I stressed myself out for no reason. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you have more choices than you think.
Yeah.
And that really you cause most of the things in your life because of decisions that you've made, whether you want to take responsibility for it or not.
It's being accountable.
Yeah.
For no matter, and there are extenuating circumstances,
Yes.
right, where something
Yes.
happens unexpectedly and you had no control over it. But a lot of the things that happen in our life are most definitely within our control.
The few things, I mean, that are out of your control are such, I mean, they're usually big things, right? Like someone passing away, someone getting sick, somebody getting in an accident, or you getting in an accident, hurting yourself. Those types of things happen. But how often does that actually happen? And how often do we pity ourselves over the life we have that we shaped, that we control, that we can change?
And that being said, I actually wrote it down in my phone this week because I've been taking time each day to kind of reflect on my life, the things that I'm happy with, the things that I'm not happy with, and how I can change the things that I'm not happy with. And I saw a video that I was like, oh, this is beautiful. Because it was like, if you want to be happy, these are 3 things that you can do right now to change your circumstances. And one was stop worrying about the past and stop regretting things that happened in the past. Whatever is in the past is in the past. It happened. You can't change it. You can change how you look at it. You can change what you take away from it and how you move forward. And then number 2 was stop worrying about the future, because we don't know. We could walk out of here today and our lives could change in a moment. Like, you're so focused on what's going to happen, is this going to happen in this time? When is this going to happen? That you aren't even living in the moment that you're in right now. It's like you're thinking about the past, you're worrying about the future instead of focusing on right now.
Being present.
Yes, being
what it
present
comes down to.
right now instead of you're looking forward or you're looking behind.
Yeah.
And then the third thing was stop relying on other people for your happiness. And we've touched on that so many times, but it is so true. Like, when you're looking for your validation, your happiness, your emotional stability and stuff in other people, oh my gosh, my goodness. I think that one of the things I've struggled with in my life, just because of things that have happened in my past and traumas that I've dealt with and stuff, is being codependent on other people and other relationships in my life, where it's like, yeah, things are going well with your children or your romantic relationship or your friendships, and you're happy and you're in a good mood and everything's wonderful. And then, something happens and you're fighting with this person or you're not getting along with this person, and then your whole mood is like everything's bad. Whereas when you're finding that happiness within yourself, it still sucks when you're not getting along with somebody that you don't care about or something comes to an end or whatever, but it doesn't completely change your whole emotional regulation.
Well, and a lot of people get into that, right, where there's this conflict. And rather than sitting down and having a conversation and fixing that conflict, we sit and we just talk about how much of a victim we are to this conflict instead of doing something about it. Like, you can easily have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's really not hard. I've done it with a lot of people where you just sit, like, it's uncomfortable, but like, you just sit down and you're like, okay, this is how I feel. Tell me how you feel. Let's find some common ground. It's willing to do the things to make your situations better, and you have a choice. That's where that choice comes in. Yes, bad things are happening, or you're in a crappy situation. What can you do to fix that situation? Not for me.
It's true. Not having a victim mentality, but even you saying sitting down, having conversations with people. I think, we were talking about it earlier with narcissists being in your life, and there's an attraction to people that are empathetic and loving and forgiving and compassionate, where narcissists are drawn to that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that there are times where you have to come to the conclusion that no matter how emotional it's making you, there are certain things and relationships that you have to dismiss from your life.
And like, going into those conversations, I'm not saying having conversations with those type of people. I'm talking about the people you care about, the relationships you want to keep
have in your life. Yeah.
When it comes to those types of people, I mean, it took me a long time, but now I'll cut them out. You don't even have to. You'll never hear from me again. I don't need negativity in my life. I don't need people that are making my life harder. Yeah. And that is, again, a choice, a choice that we all can make. Yeah. We can all choose who we put in our lives. Even, it doesn't matter if it's blood related, it doesn't matter. You choose if they're in your life or not. Yeah. I've made hard decisions of people that I can't have in my life.
And that's the hard part about it, right? Is like, you're not heartless. Like, if it's somebody that you've cared about and you've had a bond with them in whatever way, it's easier said than done to cut people out of your life.
Oh, it's hard.
It's very hard, because I think some people will be like, oh, you just cut so-and-so off, like you don't even care. No, I still care. In my moments by myself, I'm probably crying about it. I'm feeling bad, but I have to love myself more than I'm loving other people, especially if it's doing me harm to keep you in my life.
And you can't not only show up for yourself, but for other people if you have these other things and people just dragging
like energy
you down.
vampires that
yes.
are just sucking all the goodness out of you, and you're like, and I want to talk because I have a background. I was a mental health nurse, as you know. And I think before I started in that line of work, I always thought PTSD was something that veterans went through, or active duty military. Like, it's very common for them to deal with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. There are a large amount of people that are undiagnosed with PTSD that actually have PTSD. And some of the traumatic relationships that we've had and abusive relationships, whether it was mentally, emotionally, verbally, physically, those cause the post-traumatic stress disorder. And when you get to the point where it's like, God, I wake up in the morning and I still feel tired. I'm going through my day and I just don't have any energy. Like, I don't feel happy anymore. I don't have the good feelings. You have to really assess like the relationships around you and see if these are relationships that are causing you like stress and trauma.
When you have to do this all the time. So I feel like I've gotten a lot dialed in, especially like knowing how to manage my emotions, the people I surround myself with. I mean, we talked about 2025. I'm no longer tolerating
no hot dog water.
yes. And so, I mean, then I found myself this week completely drained, completely drained. I've never had my social flame completely out. Like, usually I can get around the right people. Like, I mean, I came here and I can recharge, but this week I couldn't. And I had to figure out what that was that was bothering me. And now I'm working to fix that. And that is just an ongoing cycle because you're constantly getting in different situations around other people, especially if you're growing, because you're trying new things, you're going out and experiencing things. You're not staying in that same cycle if you're growing, and that'll put you around new people, new experiences, and things that you're going to have to continuously work through, which is good because it helps develop who you are. But if you're not willing to make the decision to sit down and analyze your life and figure out what the problem is, and we're kind of talking about embracing like a lot of like mistakes we've made, situations we get in, the crappiness of life, right? The messiness of life.
Messy on purpose.
That's where we came up with it, right? And so if you're not looking at those things as a lesson or an experience that you can learn from, instead you're looking at it like, oh, poor me, this happened to me. There's two different ways you can go with that, right? And if you're looking at it like a lesson, I've learned a lot from bad experiences, and some were out of my control, but you can still learn from that situation because at some point, no matter what the experience was, there was something you could do a little differently. Whether it's completely avoiding certain people or staying out of certain situations, not going to certain events, not doing certain things. I mean, there's a complete lesson in every single thing you experience.
But everything you're saying is absolutely true, because I think it's the hard moments. It's those moments that have you broken down, crying your eyes out, feeling the internal like pain and heartbreak and like despair. Those are the moments that actually define who you are and build your character and your strength. Nothing worth having comes easy. And I think having the wisdom, the compassion, and things that you gain from the hard experiences in life, that doesn't come with an easy life. We talk about some of the most incredible people that you'll ever meet in the world that are the most like wise, and they radiate that wisdom, is because they've gone through some really hard situations in life. So as painful as the hard things are, I would never want to say I had an easy life, because it would have robbed me from the gifts that I have now from going through the hard experiences. Now, somehow I am a freaking hard head Did you think after 40 plus years on this earth, I would learn my lesson on certain things? But I was thinking about this past week because when you have certain things happen to you, it does take you to a place where it's like, man, I don't want to be as loving as I am, or as nice as I am, or as like open as I am. I want to be more guarded. But the problem with that is being guarded means you're building up walls against everybody, and you can't judge everybody based off of certain people that haven't been good for your life. So I think that I'm trying to learn how to give the empathy and love and caring and stuff to people that deserve it, not just anybody. But I also don't want to be so closed off and hard where it's like, I'm not going to be myself, because I am compassionate and loving and caring because of things that I've gone through in my life that have been hard and have made me that person. And I'm not going to allow other hard experiences to take me back to somebody who doesn't care about other people.
It's all about balance, right? It's finding that balance. And I don't know, sound kind of cocky, but like I've kind of found that. So I used to be the one that gets walked all over and gives too much, because I do care about people. I mean, shoot, I want to see people like succeed more than me most of the time. And I'll put other people first, especially if I care about them. But I had to find that boundary, and I had to put up those boundaries because of people walking all over you, the people that don't deserve it. Those are the people that are the problem, right? And you have to be able to navigate that. And it doesn't mean that you judge every single person the same. It's that you do the research. It sounds weird to say research, but it's
true though.
But that's what you're doing.
Picking up on those red flags, or like there should be alarms going off when a certain person is acting this way. Like that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign.
It's like analyzing situations, right? And I overanalyze, especially because I dug a little too deep into psychology because I love those books.
I was going to say also sociology, where you're learning about people.
And understanding, how everyone reacts and all of that stuff. And like you dive into that so much that you really overanalyze people.
You do.
And I overanalyze everyone, but it also helps me develop the right relationships and distance myself from the ones that are not right. And it's not that I don't care about people. It's not that I don't love people. It's that I'm just more selective in what matters and who's going to help me thrive, who I'm going to help thrive. If I want to help somebody, but I know I can't because they're not going to thrive off the information I'm giving them, why would I waste my time giving them that information? That's energy that I'm taking away from myself and energy that I'm taking away from people who actually deserve it.
That's true. And there are people.
It looks like somebody like wiped their face.
What is that? There are people that I will love for the rest of my life. I will always have love for them. If you've ever been in my life and you've been an important part of my life, there will always be a space for you in my heart. But that does not mean there's a space for you in my life anymore. And I think so badly there are people that you love them so much that you hope and wish and want the best from them. But sometimes the people that you wanted to be a part of your life for the rest of your life came into your life for a season and a purpose to teach you a lesson that you needed. And I think every hard situation that I've been through in my life, it has taught me something about myself that I need to work on, something about myself that I need to change. And I think that that is maturity and wisdom, because obviously when I was younger and stuff, it'd be like if somebody hurts you or somebody does something, you put all the blame on them, right? Like, oh, they did this and they did that. And now it's like, okay, what is it about me that I'm learning from this situation?
And it's more of how you react, right? It may be that person's fault. They may have intentionally did something to hurt you.
But how did it get to the point where you were allowing them to do
right?
Those
you're allowing them, and how you react.
You're bringing people into your life, like even if you're seeing red flags, you're overlooking those red flags. You want to wish, believe the best in people, which
I mean,
always want to do that.
we've all had like relationships we stayed in too long,
where you knew the time had played out,
Yes.
but it's like you want to keep trying and you want to keep like working on it. You think you can do better.
and a lot of it's just the familiarness of it, like just being familiar with certain people, whether it's
familiarity breeds contempt.
Yeah.
So it's comfortable to
like
stay in that.
keeping friendships that you shouldn't keep forever because you guys just aren't on the same page anymore, which is okay. It doesn't mean that you don't love that person, but like you keep that just because you're familiar with that person, just because they've been there most of your life or something. And like sometimes you're just not, you guys go in different directions. I mean, that happens in loving like marriages, like if you go on one path and he goes on another and it's completely in the different direction.
Divorce doesn't have to mean that you and the person hate each other.
No,
or something
not at all.
awful happens. Sometimes your paths are just going different ways.
And it's okay.
Absolutely.
It's okay. Like you can still have a good friendship with somebody or even like a distance friendship with somebody. It doesn't mean that you have to like be close all the time with somebody that doesn't fit.
And like I said, you can still love somebody and hold a place for them in your heart. But for me, if it's like, oh my gosh, if it is a toxic relationship in any kind of way, or it is draining you more than it's adding to your life, as hard as it is, you have to like push that away. My God, it's so easy to say that, like get rid of the toxic people in your life. It's much easier to say.
Oh, it's hard.
To do it.
It's
It is
so
very
hard.
hard because a lot of times in toxic dynamics with your family, with romance, with friendships, there becomes a trauma bond between you and the other person because of it being a toxic dynamic. And that is even harder to like cut ties with. And I give a lot of credit. I think there are amazing resources now that we're the age of the internet for learning about
Stop
different
aging yourself.
The age of the internet.
We're older than Google.
So old. I remember when Google came out. No. I just think that now you have so many resources where it's like we didn't know a lot about personality disorders and things like that when I was younger. It was just like, man, that person's crazy, but you didn't really know what was behind it. And I think knowledge is power, and just getting this information, it helps you to be stronger in dealing with other people and being able to end certain relationships. But that being said, I saw Sir LL Cool J this morning talking, and he was saying, whatever you talk about the most in your life is what you attract into it. So if you're always talking about like, oh, my life sucks, like this is so hard, this is going wrong, this is going bad, you're going to get more of that. You're going to get more of the bad. So right now the focus is everything good. Like I'm having to let go of certain things out of my life for a purpose because I want to keep growing and I want to continue to be better. So my focus is on the good. Like we're not going to keep talking about, and I wanted to like do this podcast so we could kind of purge and talk about the beauty in breaking and the positive of going through these hard times so that we're not just focusing on the bad.
Well, whenever there's hard times, the best thing you can do is gratitude, right? Be thankful for the things that you do have that are good. And I think a lot of people get away from that. Like I mean, you've seen me do it. I do 30 days of gratitude whenever I get in a funk or whenever I feel like I'm not accomplishing enough or anything. If I get hard on myself, I want to do gratitude because it makes me feel better. It reminds me that I do have a lot of good things in my life, even if things are tough, even if things are hard, even if something happens that is out of my control, I still have something to be thankful for. And there's always something to be thankful for. And there's always somebody out there that's going to have something worse going on. And if you just remember that you have good things, the hard stuff doesn't seem so bad.
And there are moments that the hard times really suck, and you want to bawl your eyes out, cry your eyelashes
and you can,
off,
and you can,
and hit something, your pillow, or scream at the top of your lungs. Like those are the things that need to be done. had that podcast where we talked about how you're telling people like, it's okay, it could be worse, blah, blah, blah. Like when you're going through the hard moments in life, you need to process those emotions. You need to cry as much as you want to, go throw the axe throwing place.
Yeah, or they have, I was going to say the
room.
destruction room.
Do whatever you need to do to process those emotions.
I think that goes into learning how to manage your emotions, right? Because some people bottle things up. I'm a key bottler person, like, and not so much anymore because I'll just vent it out now. Yeah. You and Justin, I'm sorry. Anyway, they both got a little dose of it this week. But you know, like there's bottling it up. There's being overly emotional and not knowing when is a good place to be emotional. Yeah. Like there are some places that there's a time and place for it. And sometimes that's not the time and place. Like you don't go to your office and bawl your eyes out for no reason. Like that, you can't do that. But at home or maybe with a loved one or, you know, there's certain situations, there's therapy for, you know, learning how to do that as well. I actually read a really good book. It's like, I can't remember the exact name. I always mess it up. But anyway, it explains it really well. And that was, I mean, it really like kicked it in gear for me. I'll have to like post it. Yeah. Post the book. But it was really helpful the way it explained it. And it really helps you, like, it's literally called like manage your emotions. Like I swear it's something like that. It's like control your feelings and manage your emotions or something along those lines. But anyway, it's a really good book and it explains it so well. And like once you learn how to manage those feelings and know how to express them in the right way in the right time, you're at a whole nother level. You really are, because now you can cry, but you can also keep your composure when you need to. And sometimes you have to keep your composure for somebody else. And sometimes they have to do that for you. And it's just understanding.
It's true. I think that the emotional side of it, we can sit here and say, you know, all the good things, right? I've got the tattoo that says strength is what we gain from the pain we survive.
She's like, the queen of quotes.
Yeah. We can give all the quotes and like feel good videos and stuff. There are going to be situations in your life that happen that are just, they're extremely painful. The endings of things, losing certain people or things out of your life, like there are hard just situations in life that suck. Point blank, period. Like they are hard. This life is never going to be easy from start to finish. You're going to have the peaks and the valleys. And
it doesn't matter which decision you make, right? There's always this road, right? And you go this way or you go that way. Well, both of them are going to be hard. It just depends on what kind of hard you want. And you choose that hard. Something me and Justin were talking about yesterday. I don't know. Anyway, we were talking about, like, I really hate when people say I used to. I used to do this. I used to do that. I used to, like, you'll be doing something and they'll be like, oh, I used to do that. Well, why don't you anymore? Why can't you again? Like, why do we sit with this whole I used to, or looking back at something and like, those were my glory days. Why can't you make more of those? Why? Because you chose not to. Because you choose right now in this moment not to make a change.
Yeah. Or there are certain things in your life that serve a purpose for a moment in your life, and then your priorities change, and so maybe those things aren't as important to you anymore.
Well, this is in reference to people who used to work out, used to be in shape, used to lift weights, you know, used to eat healthy, used to have abs. That's all something you can accomplish. It's not something that just like one day you can't do it anymore. For the most part, there are people out there that actually have things that happen. But most people, your average person, you're not too busy to make a change. You're never too busy, because I can guarantee you spend more time on social media, on Netflix, on just extra sleep.
Well, and that's you bringing that up, you have to take a look at your circumstances and situation, because those are coping mechanisms for a lot of people. So sleeping extra or social media or watching Netflix That's how a lot of people deal with depression or feeling
I don't
certain
think they're
things.
dealing with it though at that point. Because typically when you're sleeping more or you're doing things like that where it kind of isolates you from people, you're actually not dealing with the depression, you're just sitting in it.
I don't know what other term to use besides dealing with it. That's how people are coping with their depression. I don't know. 'Cause just from the mental health.
So I don't know if it's that they're coping though. It's that they're literally just sitting in it. I know because my dad's depressed right now. Like he's literally sitting there watching TV, eating his bull crap.
But the thing is about depression, and I say this just because we brought up the background in mental health, is especially people that have dealt with addictions or coming out of abusive relationships or anything like that, it's not a decision that they're making. Their brain has been rewired.
I mean, I've been depressed. I've been depressed.
Your neural pathways are operating differently. You have to make changes in order to change the pathways in your brain and how you're dealing with stuff.
Back to the choices, though. You choose to sit in it or you choose to change it.
It's you have a different type of personality where you tackle things head on.
And so I'm not saying even head on. There's small changes that you can make, but people will sit and just wallow in this depression and like doing things like sitting in front of the TV. It's comfort to them, and that's why they do it. And then they want to play a victim to this depression. Well, I'm depressed, so that's why I don't do these things. But it's not that they can't do these things.
But that's it. You're making a very generalized statement. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to get passionate about this, but it's just because being in that industry and seeing certain people, it's not that some people are choosing. They have so much, especially with the CPTSD and stuff like that.
But those are extreme conditions, right? That not everyone has that.
With people with postpartum depression and stuff, I will tell you, after I had Jaden, I went through really bad postpartum depression. And I remember laying there, and I think I told you the story where my mom came in and was like, get up, get out of bed, like get out of those sweatpants. You've been wearing them for God knows how long. Go take a shower. Like, it's not that I wanted to sit there and be depressed or just watch TV. There was a part of me that did not even want to be alive anymore. You know, so
I'm not saying you don't get into those deep things, right? I'm not saying that because I've been there. I've been in depression before. It's not like I haven't gone through things and dealt with things, but like it's still a choice, and I feel like you choose to fight it. It's a hard battle. It's way easier to sit in it. It's way easier to let it take control. But it's a hard battle, but you still have a choice. And when you say like people don't have a choice,
I'm not saying people don't have a choice. I'm saying some people, when they're in the midst of a struggle and it's all they can do to get up in the morning, they're not making a choice at that moment of like, hey, maybe if I go work out, it's going to make me feel better. Them getting out of bed is all they can do in that time.
But it takes baby steps, and you keep trying and you keep fighting because you're fighting a battle. It's a battle, and it's not that you can't get out of it because you've gotten out of it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's easy.
That's where you have to find the things that help you. Like for me, it was that I had kids, so I couldn't just give up on life because
it's having purpose.
It's my children. Like my children, I'm going to be here and be strong for them. But I have seen other people struggle with it, especially the mental health stuff is really near and dear to me because I worked in it and I've seen the struggle personally in my own life and with family and stuff. I think that sometimes it takes a little bit of time and either therapy, medications, different things like that to help you start to pull out of that funk or get over the abuse that you've gone through.
But I don't think that's your average person still. I still don't think that's your average person. I think enough people get into a depression, but it's because they give themselves no purpose because they're not doing anything other than going to work, coming home, and doing nothing. And like I think that's more your average person. I think you're talking more extreme,
I'm just talking about depression in general.
Right.
When you're going through depression,
I was bringing up people that are like the I used to's. That's not because they're depressed. It's because they're making choices not to do the things that they used to do.
I disagree with you.
No,
this is our disagreement. I don't think because I've seen it personally. I've dealt with it personally.
You're still talking about depression. I can tell you right now, the people that I'm referring to that have literally said this saying to me, their excuses are, I have kids, or I don't have time, or those are the excuses. It's not because they're depressed. It's because they're choosing the easy route, because they're being lazy.
Or their priorities have changed. Like
No.
if you have,
I'm telling you right now, I know these people that I'm talking about.
Maybe it's the people that you're talking about, but we're talking to a general audience.
And I still don't think general audience is depressed.
I'm not saying everybody's depressed. Let me clarify, because I want
You're talking about a small population of people.
No, I'm talking about, even for me, for example, I run a business and I have children that I take care of by myself. So on the list of priorities, sometimes working out falls way down the list. But you don't tell me I used to. I used to work out all the time.
No. But what I'm referring to is the people that are like, basically, when you do something that's different than them, and maybe they used to do it, the I used to comes out because they're kind of inferior to what you're doing. Like you don't go, oh, I used to do that to me for working out. Right?
Well, I just showed you a picture earlier from my modeling days, and I said I used to work out all the time.
That's not what you said. That was a totally different conversation. We're taking that all out of context.
But I did say I used to work out all the time. I personally think that people's priorities can change, and they may feel bad about like the fact that, oh, I don't work out as much as I used to, or I don't have the time for it. But I don't think that means that it's just people making excuses to validate they don't work out anymore. For me, like, I'm having to choose some days when I'm in here working 13, 14 hours, going home, taking care of stuff with the kids. Working out is way down on my priority list. I think you're missing like my point. My point was just that was just an example that I used. Yeah.
That was an example of the way people look at each other, and almost like it's like a jealousy thing or like a comment thing of like, oh, I just can't do that because of this. It's an excuse thing. You can do it. You have the choice, but you're not sitting here saying, I want to do that. You're making time when you want to do it, which is fine. I'm not saying that everyone has to do what I do. I'm saying that we all have choices. And if you want something, you'll do what you need to do to get there. And if you don't, you're just going to wallow in it. Yeah. And like, you're going to continue your same routine and all of that. I'm not saying everyone needs to work out. I'm saying that we all have choices to do the things to get to where we want to be. Just because I work out a lot doesn't mean that other people don't have other goals that aren't even related to working out. Maybe you just have a goal of, building a business. Maybe that's your goal. That's your focus. That's what you're working on every day. But you're still taking time away from your lounge time to do that, to build a business. There's so many other things that you can work towards and goals that everyone has, but the person that goes home and they do nothing, that's what I'm talking about. That's just kind of sitting in your own misery. You're sitting there saying, I want this, I want that, I want to build a business, I want to be in shape, I want to go on that trip, I want to do this, but you're not doing anything to work towards that. That's the point I'm making.
I don't know.
I think we have choices, and I think
we have choices, and I think for me, it's hard because right now in my life, it's like I'm focusing so much on what I have going on and where I am and what I want to change about my life that I don't have time to look at what anybody else is doing or not doing. If somebody asks me for my opinion, like, hey, Heather, what can I do to help out with this? Then I'll give them my advice if it's solicited. But if somebody else isn't, doing the things that I think they should be doing.
And that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is people say these things to me. It's not
me.
They
just like come up to you and say, I used to work out all the time.
I can show you a message of one I got last night.
I would just not respond to it.
So, you know what I mean? Like, I get that all the time. I get that I used to. They do it all the time. And that's what I'm getting at. I don't try to tell people what to do. I don't
feel like
my response was whatever makes you happy. Like, I literally responded with, well, it takes hard work and dedication. You know what I mean? Like, you can do it too. And
Were
then
they asking for like workout
then they sent,
advice?
no. They commented on my physique based off of my story, and then turns and says, oh, I used to do that too back, blah, blah, blah. And then, I don't want to directly quote it because then everyone will know who I'm talking about. But, and then I used to do that. Okay. And then I said, well, you still can, trying to be positive in my response, because I always want to encourage people. If that's what you want to do it. Okay. And then I get well, I can't because of this, and this. I have kids. Is what I work a lot and I have kids. That was the excuse, right? I said, okay, well, whatever makes you happy.
It wasn't me. It was not me.
No, it wasn't. But you wouldn't message me anyways like that. But you know what I mean? That's the type of conversation. I'm not looking for that. I'm not trying to solicitate advice that is unwanted.
That was just somebody that probably...
That's not the only one. That was just an example. That happens all the time. And I'm not even talking about just working out. I've had people do it because we started the podcast, because we make the reels. Oh, I'd like to do more of that. And I'm like, well, then do it. You know, like, I'm not trying to tell anyone that you need to do this. I mean, besides you, I'm like, hey, we need to make reels. But like, and that's not because I'm trying to like push that on there. It's because you want to. And it just hasn't had time, and which is fine. It hasn't worked out. But the people that come up to me and they want to say, I used to, this is like walking up to you and saying, oh, I want to have a hair salon someday. Right. And then you're like, okay, do it. And then they're like, oh, well, I can't because I have kids. You know what I mean? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's people making excuses and saying they don't have a choice, but you always have a choice. So like, you choose not to do the extra things. Sometimes the things that you want to work towards take extra work, you know, and it's outside of your 9 to 5. It's outside of your, normal day, but like, you have to do these little things to get to where you want to be if you actually want to be there. And don't walk up to somebody who's doing that and be like, oh, I used to be like that. You know what I mean? Like, or I want to be like that, but I can't. Like, you always have a choice. And that's what frustrates me.
I mean, I obviously sense the frustration from this conversation, but I haven't had anybody message me those kind of things. So I don't I haven't ever had anybody like, literally, I don't know if somebody was like, oh, I used to work out like that. Well, good for you. Like, I don't know. Great.
And I've had that in so many different areas of my life. And it's really frustrating when people want to say, I used to, or I want to, but they're not willing to do anything but make excuses. And that's what I mean by like, you have a choice. I get that people get depressed. I get that you have to go through things. Everyone goes through things. I've been depressed. I've had weeks where I literally didn't want to get out of bed. And I've had to power through that to get to where I want to be, because I'm a driven person and because I want things. But I'm not going to sit here.
You have a very strong personality too. And I think
you don't know who I was when I was younger, though. Right. I was a lot different.
Right.
This is something I have developed.
I agree with you. I think that just for me, like currently, just some of the stuff that I've gone through in the past couple of years and stuff, like I probably am a little more sympathetic right now, just because obviously, like, there's been times recently where it was like, God, I don't even want to get out of bed. Like, if it wasn't for the people that depend on me, like, things get really hard, and it's like you're just trying to survive and function. So you're not thinking about all the extra stuff, like I need to work harder, I need to push harder, or whatever. So I think for me, just I'm a little more tender hearted right now, because I have been through stuff recently that's been hard on me, where like, and thank God I do have like you and my dad and certain people in my life that are like, come on, Heather, like you're strong, you got this, like we're going to keep pushing, we're going to keep going. There are some people that don't have anybody like that in their life to encourage them or uplift them. And it's like, they go to work, they work their job, they go home, they're sitting in the dark, they're watching some TV shows, they're going to bed, like they're not getting any kind of encouragement or support or somebody that they can call at night and bawl their eyes out and they're going to listen to them. So I think that my perspective on it was different from yours because you're talking about like people that if they're sending you messages, you know, obviously about like, oh, I wanted to work out, but blah, blah, blah. That's a little different from somebody who's just trying to get through their daily life and they don't have
There's
even the
also
energy or will.
So I have another side to that though. There are people that have been in those situations that I have personally tried to help that don't want my help.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's
Yeah.
not like everyone's open to help either. So like some people
Some
choose
people
that.
have to work
They
through
choose
their,
it.
or it takes them longer, or they just want to stay in the funk.
Yeah. And it's still a choice.
I left mental health because I loved the job that I did and I loved feeling like I was helping people, but I felt like for every person that I was able to help them and like make a difference, there was somebody else that I would like pour my heart and soul into them and they would leave and commit suicide or something else would happen to them and I couldn't deal with it anymore. As much as I wanted to like be a help to people, it was tearing me down because you can only give so much of yourself to help other people and they're not taking that help or they take the help momentarily and then turn right back around and do the same thing over. So I get that too. I'm speaking because like I told you about a lady that I interacted with recently. I don't want to put her information out there, but she's going through a really difficult time in her life and a loss in her life. And she has a lot of people around her telling her she needs to be strong and like pick herself up and stop crying. And I think that there are a lot of women that do deal with that where it's like you're being told to be stronger and you've got this and you're going to be okay. And sometimes it's okay to not be okay.
I actually don't tell people to be stronger when they're going through stuff. I don't. As strong of a personality as I have and the mindset that I have, I will not tell you if you've gone through something that you need to just snap out of it. That's not true. It's not true. You have to work through it, which is fine as long as you're working through it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're not willing to put any effort, I can't put my energy into you. You know, you have to be willing to like move forward in some way, however that is that you want to go through it. But like, I'm also not going to watch you just throw everything away.
Self-destruct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we need a laugh. We need a laugh. We need a laugh.
It's a heavy conversation.
It is.
Listen, like, and I think that it's perfectly normal to get fired up when you talk about things that you're passionate about. And mental health is something that affects each one of us differently. We all deal with it differently. Because when I say mental health, I think people automatically like jump. For me, I did was like, oh, you're calling me crazy or you're, you know, we all have mental health the same way we have physical health. And sometimes we struggle more in our mental health than other times. And that doesn't mean that you have any kind of personality disorder or you do have clinical depression or anything, but there are times where you feel lower and there's times where you feel better. And
I rode the emotional roller coaster this week. I mean,
yeah.
You seen me on
For us
Tuesday.
as
I
women,
literally couldn't even
PMSing and stuff.
That was week before. That was week before. Remember, you were like, you're about to start your period. I'm like, yeah. And I did like 2 days later.
That's why this conversation it's difficult to have, and there are strong opposing opinions on certain things.
I think too, like a lot of it's how we interpret things, right? After I explained because what I meant.
I'm not used to having somebody go, I don't like.
Yeah.
Even for the salon, I've had other hairstylists reach out and be like, oh, how did you start your salon or something like that. People will ask for advice, like, how'd you start doing the reels or what made you guys start the podcast? But I think that, you know, what you're doing, especially in fitness and having a larger platform of people that follow you and you're very open and transparent with putting your pictures up every morning, that you're going to have, you know, certain messages come through that are a little different than like I'm getting for putting up hair pictures.
Right.
So
and I get a lot of backlash from people that I grew up with too. A lot of that comes from I did something that they're not doing, right? They're staying in the hometown. They're staying all doing the same thing their parents did and like raising families. And I'm out here trying this.
Yeah.
You know, I've done dabbled in this, that, and whatever just to try to find my spot in life, right? Or like just because I like to try things or
There's nothing
whatever.
wrong with that.
But I get a lot of backlash because of that, and I get those very, very. I don't even know what to call those comments, but I get those, and then they're always followed up with excuses of why they can't do it, and that is the problem.
That's like the saying, "Thou protesteth a little too much." Like for me, I own a business. I take care of kids. I don't give a shit if you own a business or take care of kids. Like you're doing your own thing. Like it doesn't matter to me.
I absolutely love seeing people succeed, which you've probably felt because like I want to come in here and help you like with the reels and stuff. Like I want to help.
You want to help other people be successful.
Right. And I just like I don't understand why so many people hate on people doing better than them or even not even better. It doesn't even like my life is not great. It's just what I make it. And I think it's pretty great personally, but like not everything's perfect. Not everything's where I want it to be. Obviously, I'm still working towards things. And my life is not easy. I mean, you seen me on Tuesday. I was completely drained. I had no energy. I wanted to be around no one. I literally was so burnt out. I physically didn't want to move. Yeah. And that's the stuff people aren't seeing. And then they're sitting here and they're judging my life and then turning around and being like, well, I wish I could do that, but I can't because of this. Like, I literally kill myself to do some of the stuff that I do.
Yeah.
And I struggle every single day to do the things that I do, get everything in, get by. Like, there are so many factors. And then to have people do that in a jealous manner, even though they have the choice, they have choices. They can still, whether you have kids or not, you can move.
Well,
you can try new things.
The jealousy, I think this is just something that was innate in me. There's no point in me being jealous over what anybody else is doing because I could be doing the same exact thing as you and I'm going to have different results. Like I could do the same thing that you do every day and we would still be two completely different people. Like genetically, we're built differently. We have different things going on. There's no reason for me to be jealous of anybody, what they have going on, what's going on. Because we talked about the social media facade. You see the good stuff in people's life. Like you see the shiny pictures and everything looks wonderful and stuff, but you don't see what goes on behind the scenes. None of our lives are perfect. God, nobody would want to trade me life. Like my life is busy. It's crazy. It's hectic. And like, it's my life.
Yep.
And I choose the paths that I want to take. The bad stuff that happens, I'm accountable for it. The good stuff that happens, I'm accountable for it. Like I'm the one putting in work. I'm the one dealing with the bad stuff. It's the same thing for you. If people are showing jealousy over the things that you're doing, I would take it as a freaking compliment.
Oh, no, it doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the like follow-up excuses.
Yeah.
Why I can't do that. That was what more was, because we're talking about the fact that we have a choice in life and that we can embrace things or we can wallow in it, right? Yeah. That's basically what we were talking about. And like, that's more what I'm getting at. It's just the fact that people constantly say they do not have a choice, that their life is just this way and that's how it is. And that is not the case. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've had to take a different path, try a different thing. I mean, shoot, just moving to Vegas was a complete shift. Yeah. And like, you navigate it and you figure it out and you make it go in the direction you want it to go, even if it's harder. But do not make an excuse. If you make the choice to sit at home, watch Netflix, sleep in late, and you're not working towards the goal that you have, because clearly it's not a goal if you're not working towards.
People don't even have goals, though.
Right?
So
but they're sitting here like going, "I wish, or I could, but." And that's not true. You made that choice, and that's fine. And if you're happy, then whatever, but don't try to make someone else feel like they did something wrong by doing something that you couldn't do.
Do you take it that way when, like, when this person reached out to you and was like, oh, I used to blah, 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 but I'm busy now with kids? Did you take that as them kind of like attacking you?
Not really, because I don't take anything personal.
Yeah.
It's not that I like even take any of this personal. Like, I don't care. You can message me whatever you want. I've had some of the most awful things being said to me on social media. It's fine. But what bugs me, and this goes back to wanting to help people, is these people make these excuses, and then I'm just sitting there like, you can do it too, and then like, you know what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like more of
but
a like.
Do you feel like I don't know this person and I don't know what the message was that was sent, but I always try to think about what's underlying that. And obviously in text and messages, we can't hear somebody's tone. Like, we read it in the way that we're processing it, that this person saying that, like, oh, I can't do it now because I have, kids and blah, 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 could have been looking for some kind of insight from you on, like, this is how you can manage it. Like, this is things that you could do, like maybe get some advice from you, as opposed to you're taking it as what would be the point in messaging you and being like, oh, I used to do that, but I can't do it anymore.
You tell me. I don't know, but I can tell you right now they don't want the advice because I've gave the advice and it's never taken. It's always followed up with another excuse. That's the problem.
I mean, if it's the same person, then I would
That's not the same
probably
person.
just stop.
It's not the same person. This is the first interaction with this person in a long time.
How do you know that your advice won't work for this person? Because you've given it to other people?
No, because I've known this person for a really long time. So that's different. It's not like somebody that I just don't know. It's somebody that I know.
But you don't think they would like take the advice?
No. Sometimes you just know people, where you've dealt with them in the past and you just know. And it's not worth putting my effort in. Like, why should I constantly be giving out advice to people when 99% of them don't take it? Yeah. I mean, I
probably just wouldn't respond to the messages then if somebody.
But it's not just like, one person. Like, if you're looking at it from like one person, yeah, I would just block them. But it's not like I get it just from the one person.
I don't know that I block somebody just for being like, oh, I used to work out too.
Well, there's some people you have to block because they don't stop messaging. I've been there too. So
I feel like you live in a completely different world than me.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Leave messages and it's like unopened. I'm like, no, I don't want to read that. Like,
well, it's just heavy when you're a person that wants to fix things.
But you have no obligation to fix anybody, especially on social media.
I'm not even trying to fix anyone anymore. Like, I've tried. I can tell you probably 100 people that I've tried to help just lose weight. I've taken each one to put together a whole program, workout, diet, all of that. It takes me at least a few hours, probably about 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I've tried to help so many people, so many. Do you want to know how many have actually like done what I've sent them? This is all people have done this for free for.
I don't think I want to know.
One person.
I said, no, I don't want to know.
One person. And that is what I'm getting at. Like, people say they want help. They say they want the advice. They say they want to make changes. You can give them every single tool you have, every inch of energy I have.
Yeah.
I mean, I did personal training. I can tell you, and that's not even like including the people that I personal train that I was just talking about. And I can give out every bit of myself. But if they're not willing to put in an ounce of effort, it does no good. Whether it's working out, whether it's
Felicia, why
working
are you
towards
even responding to these people?
Well, the conversation didn't start with that.
Yeah.
It was like a comment on my photo.
To, like, cut off.
This wasn't a long conversation. This was like 5 messages.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a long conversation. I cut it off once it got to the point where there was excuses. It's not, and it's hard to like explain this, but because I know you're just seeing it as somebody just messaging me. But they message, they make a comment on my photo, and I respond. You know, like this response was hard work and dedication. This is somebody that hasn't seen me in 10 years. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, just hard work and dedication. And then it follows up with the, oh, I used to do that this time.
That's where you said a thumbs up.
But like,
like, all right. Cool.
Not every conversation is the same, and not everyone leads into it the same. This is just one example. This is just the most recent example. And, and then I respond because I try to help. This is where you're like, will they take the advice? You can do it too. You just got to start. And then you get, oh, well, I can't because of this, and this. That is what I'm getting at. Like, it's not there. So you're saying not to respond. Then you're saying to give advice. Well, I did
you're
both.
Responding to them, yes. And
but
they're like, oh, I can't.
But it doesn't always start out with just that word. It doesn't start out with just that I used to. It doesn't start out with that excuse. It doesn't start out that way. You're exchanging some words, and then it comes out.
But if it bothers you that much to hear somebody be like, oh, I used to do that, blah, blah, but I can't now, and they start giving the excuses, then you end the conversation.
Which I did.
It
was already, it ended. Like, after the excuses, it ended. That's what I'm getting at.
But it stuck with you enough that you're still thinking
this happened last night. Literally, like, it's just because we're talking about choices. This is why I brought it up. Because we're talking about staying in the present. We're talking about moving forward without looking too far ahead. And in that sense, you have choices every day. And we choose which direction we're going to go. And this was just an example that I was bringing up based on those choices. I'm not saying I wallow in this. I won't even think about this after this.
Yeah.
We literally talked about it last night because of that message. And this is just, it was just last conversation I think I had in messaging. Because the one before that was our group text where I accidentally sent a video. And like, so that it's just there. But like, I'm not going to wallow in this. I don't care. I'm probably never going to speak to this person again. But it's not the first time it's happened to me.
And that's
it's
what
not
I was
the
going to
first
say
experience.
is I feel like it does trigger something in you a little bit where you feel like people make passive aggressive comments or there's a little jealousy behind it.
So what triggers me is that choice, is the people that say they don't have a choice. That's what triggers me, because I've been through some crap and I've dealt with a lot of crap. I've been depressed. I've went through eating disorders and alcohol, and like, I've had my fair share of numbing the problem, right? And every time I would choose that, it didn't go in the direction I wanted. So I changed it. And it's because I have a choice. I had a choice when I moved to Colorado to leave Iowa with Justin. I could have stayed. Yeah. I had a choice. And you always have a choice. I choose who I bring into my life, who I keep into my life. And just because I bring you in my life doesn't mean you're going to stay in my life. And that is just that those are all choices. And what bothers me is the people that say they don't have a choice. That is what deep down bothers me. It's not I could care less, girl. I've heard
some your burden to carry?
Oh, no, not at all. But it doesn't. It's because I want to help people. And honestly, I don't really deal with it anymore because I just cut people off. And that sounds mean, but I keep the people that are good in my life and I get rid of the ones that are not good. And it's not because I don't care. It's not because it doesn't bother me. It's because I need to make the right choices for me. And a lot of time, those people that I'm removing from my life, I'm not good in theirs either, because I'm just nagging them at that point. If we were to stay, so if I was to be friends with somebody and they weren't making changes and they were making all these excuses and I stayed friends with them, I'm not good in their life either, because I'm nagging them all the time. And then on top of it, they're holding me down by making these excuses all the time and just kind of being depressing to be around. And I don't want to deal with that. I don't want anything bringing me down. And that is just going with those choices. And that's what it comes down to. It's just more of, I'm passionate about the fact that people need to open up to the fact that you're more responsible for the things that happen in your life than you think.
Oh, I think we're accountable for everything that happens in our life. Like I said earlier, every bad situation that I've been in, other than it being like we talked about, an accident or somebody passing away or somebody getting ill unexpectedly, every decision that I've made has led me to the point that I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
The bad things, the good things. I've made really bad decisions in my life. I've made really wonderful decisions in my life. I've gone through depression and hard things in my life as well. There have been times where it has taken me longer to pull myself up.
Mm-hmm.
There's been times where I'm able to stand up and brush the dust off me. Everybody handles their situations differently. As far as what you're saying, I definitely have people in my life that I love and I care about. They will not take accountability for anything that they do or the position they're in. And like you said, it's always negative. It's like, oh, I wish I could do that, but I don't, blah, blah, blah. And of course, I think the natural inclination is to be like, yes, you could do this, but you need to do this, this, and that. But at a certain point, it's like, I'm wasting my breath, my time, and my energy trying to tell you you're capable of doing something when you don't believe it.
Yeah.
If somebody chooses to stay in the position that they're in, like if I want to get dedicated and serious about working out, I will find the time, the energy, and the way to work out. Or I can make excuses and be like, hey, I work this much, I have this much going on. It's a decision that I make, whether I want to work out, whether I want to be in my salon, whether, I spend time with my kids. I'm not the type of person that's going to look at somebody else's Instagram and see them working out and be like, oh, I used to do that too. Big freaking whoop-de-doo. I used to do that too. It doesn't help me anything right now. And I'm not trying to take away from the fact that you're working out consistently now.
I think a lot of it too is like, it's not like you don't have things going on in that. Mm-hmm. Not like you're working towards stuff, whether it's building relationships, working on yourself, building your business, mm-hmm. whatever it may be that you're working on. Mm-hmm. And then like, I'm working on different things, right? Yeah. I'm working on doing a bikini competition at the end of the year. So that's fitness is top of mind. Yeah. I'm really focused on this podcast. I mean, I'm trying to work on our merch and editing these and doing all of this stuff and getting better at it and finding different tools. And like, we both have like different but similar, we're still working towards something. But the people that are making these comments are not focused on themselves because they're not doing anything. They don't have purpose. They're not working towards something. You have purpose in building because, and a lot of it is the foundation of your children that got you to that point, right? That is your purpose. You want them to succeed, which means you need to succeed. And that is what's bringing you. But some people don't have that. Some people just have you own a business. That's different. You're a whole nother category than your average person. Mm-hmm. Whereas like your average person goes to their 9 to 5, comes home, deals with the kids, goes to bed. Mm-hmm. That is an average life. Yeah. And those people are not working towards anything different, don't know any better, don't even try to find purpose in something. So they just literally do their routine.
That's what you're saying. What you're saying is absolutely accurate. People that have their own stuff going on don't have time to go on other people's social media and be like, blah, 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 blah. I'll go on social media and like, I don't even see a lot of the stuff that my friends and family post because a lot of the times I'm like, checking messages with clients, sending out confirmations, like booking people. I'm uploading photos and stuff. Like, I don't have time to hate on anybody else or be jealous of what anybody else has going on because I'm busy with my own life.
And that's why you probably don't really recognize these people, right?
I don't.
Especially if they're not messaging you directly or like you.
I have people make comments to me all the time about well, I wouldn't say all the time. I'm being a little dramatic there, but people that'll make comments about the way I dress, the way I live my life, if I've been divorced, how many kids I have. I don't really give a shit. You can think whatever you want to think about me. At the end of the day, I am in an era where the people in my life that I care about and I love think I am freaking amazing. And I think I'm amazing. I am finally at the point where I think I'm amazing. So the outside noise, I don't care what you think about me. I don't care what your opinion is on me as a mother, a woman, whether I show too much cleavage, whether I don't show enough cleavage, whether I'm dating, whether I'm single, I don't care what anybody's opinion of me is. Yeah. I do not care. You can hate on me for owning a salon. You can hate on me for having 5 kids. You can hate on me for being divorced. I don't care. I am trying to find my happiness in myself and give that to the people in my life that I love and care about, that have proven to me that they love and care about me. Mm-hmm. Everything else is outside noise. You want to write me and be like, I used to do a podcast too. Awesome. Great. Wonderful. Like, I'm happy for you. I think that what sometimes when we're doing stuff that other people want to do, but they don't have the, I think a lot motivation of or whatever.
It's not even motivation. I think a lot of people are intimidated with change.
Possibly.
And I think change is hard, which it is very, very hard for most people.
So it's triggering for them to see somebody else doing the things that they'd like to do.
It's an insecurity that they have. Mm-hmm. Like, I wish I could be like that person. Yeah. And it's not that they necessarily mean it in a bad way. Yeah. A lot of it is literally that's just where their mindset is at that time. And I understand that. And that's why it doesn't bother me, like, when it comes to that side of it. It bothers me when people want to make excuses. Because excuses to me are BS. And even if I make an excuse, I'm sitting here like, oh, I can't do this because I don't have time. No, I chose to spend an extra 10 minutes doing this, and that is why I don't have time, right? And I look at that a lot differently than your average person, and that's why I get frustrated with other people's excuses. It's fine if things don't work, right? It's fine if, like, you don't have time to do something and you chose to do something else. Maybe there's been times I've closed my laptop and just chilled on the couch with Justin, right? And that is okay. Or today, I'm not working today, and that is not like me. I'm usually on that thing almost all the time. And I chose to spend time with my best friend. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, there is choices that you make, and you have to be okay with them. But there's still choices. Stop making excuses. That is a choice. And that is the part that gets me. And that's the part that fires me up, is just because it's so hard for me to, like, understand their mindset. That is frustrating for me.
And I agree with you on the excuses. Being a mom, you know, being a mom, that's one of the frustrating things. I love my kids so much, but it'll be like, hey, why didn't you do the dishes? Because blah, 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 blah. Like, there's always an excuse. There's always an excuse for things not getting done.
Yeah.
So excuses to me, like, I also am not a big fan of it. I would rather my daughter be like, look, Mom, I was tired after track practice and I didn't wash the dishes. I'm going to go do them right now. Instead of like, well, I couldn't find the dish soap, or the sponge was, you know, like, there's always some reason or excuse.
Well, it's even like on the way here, both of us were delayed today, right? Like, both of us. Yes. I don't know how that was possible, but, like, I messaged her and I was like, I still have to pack up everything. It's not that I couldn't have started earlier, or not that I did something else. I could have
gone and got coffee earlier.
Right. Yeah. And same thing. Like, you could have went and got coffee earlier, but we both were late because of that, but we owned it. We owned our excuses.
And we're like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for, you know, causing you any kind of,
like, we legit apologize, and we take responsibility for our actions. And that's what lacks when you make excuses.
And I feel like we have just gone, man, we just spewed everything.
Sorry, and we got heated, man. This is
literally like a conversation where we just, like, diarrhea of the mouth, everything that we've been thinking.
Yeah.
Because we haven't done, like, a podcast, just me and you, in a couple of weeks.
No, so yeah, this is why. We had a lot to go.
A lot. We talked about narcissism, toxic relationships, PTSD, excuses, weirdos,
depression,
on the internet.
Weirdos on the internet. We didn't even cover weirdos on the internet.
We didn't even cover, like, we have so much.
So much, but I feel like this was good. I think the moral of this whole episode is really just remember that you have choices, and to take responsibility for your actions, and know that the things in your life, most of them, I would say 99.9% is in your control. And the moment you realize that, and the moment you take responsibility for your actions, and you stop making the excuses, you're going to be a lot happier. Because even though it's hard sometimes to be like, I did this, I messed up, or whatever that might be, it feels so much better than the lie that you're going to make to yourself and to others.
True. And to piggyback off of what she is saying, I think the accountability is such an important thing. It's one of the hardest things that we could do, because it's a lot easier to make excuses and justify things that have happened or are happening in our lives. But being accountable, it's really difficult, because that is like taking a mirror to yourself and having to look at all the things that you're doing wrong and right. For me, the whole point of this was the finding the beauty in the breaking, no matter how hard the situations are, no matter what you're going through, looking for the bright side in that. And I think being accountable for the stuff that you're responsible for makes it a lot easier to find the beauty in the breaking.
And always fight. Always fight. That is huge. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. And we all get in our
it's easy to give up.
Yeah, and it's easier to just be like, but
beep, beep, beep.
Always fight. That is huge. Like, no matter what you're going through, fight until you get to that point where you can breathe again.
Yep.
Because it makes a huge difference. You might be depressed for months. I mean, you talked about the postpartum. Yeah. Like, I know that takes a long time to get past, but if you didn't fight through it for your kids, you wouldn't be sitting here talking about this today.
Yeah. And I think finding people, like I said earlier, having support around you of people that can encourage you and keep you going. And I think also something that Fylisha brought up, and it kind of goes into all of this, is you see, somebody's life on social media, or you're looking from the outside in and you think everything's perfect, and look at their life. It's all, she's doing a fitness competition. She has a podcast. She has a loving husband. Like, she has all of these wonderful things, and she still has stuff going on in her life that's not perfect. And speaking for myself personally, like, God, life is freaking hard.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard. No matter what direction you take, it's hard.
There are days where it's like, my gosh, this life is difficult. This is a journey. But if we can learn, number one, have that support system around you of people that you can reach out to when the days are a little harder than other days.
And a lot of that is in your selection. Find those right people. Yes. Don't surround yourself with people that make it worse.
Or are constantly also focusing on the negative, because you really need people. And if you can be that person for somebody else in your life too, where if your friend's reaching out to you or somebody's reaching out to you, you can pray with them, you can encourage them, you can just listen to them.
Another side too is taking advice from people. I mean, I know it's hard sometimes, but sometimes listening to other people does help. Like, I've had plenty of times where, like, Justin's got to, like, tell me something. I don't want to freaking hear it. But I need
you have to hear it multiple times before it clicks.
You yelled at me the other day. She yelled at me.
I didn't even yell.
She yelled at me. She told me to get out.
I think anybody that knows me and you knows I was not. Yeah, I think it was a little more like, Fylisha, you need to go home and lay on the couch.
She said it a lot more stern than that.
I may have been stern, but there was no yelling. I was like, get out of my salon.
But she didn't kick me out. She didn't even hug me. She didn't even hug me.
I was like, I stood in the back of the salon and I was like, leave.
She literally started packing my stuff up.
That's love.
But that is a hard thing. Like, I was going through, I was just burnt out. I literally ran myself to empty. And I realized that there was an issue that I'm working on fixing, where, like, there's something in my life that was getting disturbed that I need. Yeah. And so that is something I had to analyze and fix. But I also needed you to yell at me and then go home. And she didn't yell. Okay. But anyway, she had to tell me.
I was able to recognize, as somebody who cares about you,
right,
that you were feeling burned out. And it was like, you need to go home and rest and recharge. And we all need people like that in our life.
And that's a great example, because I don't have people tell me that very often. Like a lot of people don't tell me like I need to do this or I need to. It's usually I need
to stop doing stuff.
They're
telling you to do stuff.
It's usually like if people are telling me I need to slow down, it's probably because I'm literally drained completely. And not only did she tell me, but then I go home and I tell Justin what she told me, and he's like, "Yeah, that's probably a good idea." So like it played off, but I needed that. And then what did I do the next day? I took off a couple days from the gym. I took it easy with work, and I recouped. You know, after a couple days. Yesterday, I felt more like myself, and it's not like me to show up and just be like, whatever. You know, like I had no personality that day.
We all have days or sometimes multiple days or weeks where it's a little harder. Life is a little harder.
But listening to the people around you that love you and care about you is huge. Because it's one thing to be able to give advice and tell people things, but if you can't take it too, that makes all the difference. If you can listen and actually absorb what people are trying to tell you, it will help. It will help, especially if you're in a funk.
I agree. So to wrap this up, if you don't have anybody that you feel like can listen to you or be there for you, like my inbox is always open. If you're going to make excuses, might not be a good idea to send messages. But I know that there are people out there that are struggling with stuff in your life. I deal with stuff. She deals with stuff. We all deal with stuff. If you don't have a support system, feel free to reach out. If you have any advice on how you deal with the hard situations in life, or
maybe you have a situation you want to share.
Yeah. And how do you find the beauty in the breaking? That is the question. It's hard sometimes to find the beauty in the
It took
hard
me a
things.
long time to like really be able to analyze things that previously happened and understand why they happened and learn from that. And when you learn from it, I think that's when you find the beauty.
Yeah. That's growth right there. And we all know how diamonds are formed. So here we are, shining bright. Keep shining bright. If you guys have any feedback, any questions, any thoughts, feel free to reach out, drop some comments. Y'all go like and subscribe to Messy on Purpose. We'll see you next time.
Bye.